All right, here we go, guys. Here is our economy unit, talking about the United States economy. Here is section 2. So we talked about section 1. I recorded it. It's on YouTube as well if you guys want to go back and refresh. This is going to tie, everything that we talk about today is going to tie into our assignment for this unit. Okay, it's a short unit, but I think it's really, really important that we understand how our economy works, especially here in the United States, and how powerful our economy is, and how many other economies, when we talk about what our social responsibility is to other countries, as well as our own country. It helps you with investing. It's going to help you with budgeting. It's going to help you with your understanding your career, your money management. If you are a small business owner or get into entrepreneurship, it's going to drastically affect the way that you think about all these different things. So here we go. Let's get started. The business cycle is the rise and fall of economic activity over time. So a lot of people think about, I shouldn't say a lot. I guess I think about the business cycle is kind of like a roller coaster, right? So in a roller coaster, any good roller coaster, I haven't seen a lot of just flat roller coasters. I think that's just called like a golf cart ride in Kansas, right? But a true business cycle, you have a climb, right? You have a recovery piece that climbs up and builds towards your prosperity. Your prosperity is kind of like your peak. If you're a mountain climber, it's getting up to the top, right? As high as you go right here. And then no matter what, in our economy, we always fall down into a recession. A recession kind of glides down. And what a recession is, it is a decline in GDP for 2 or more consecutive quarters. A quarter is 3 months through the year. Kind of like, remember when we were talking about dividends? Hopefully you invest in a company that offers dividends, and they offer them quarterly, every 3 months, 4 times throughout the year. Okay, like JP Morgan Chase, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, those types of companies. And then at the very, very bottom, at the pit, down in the cave, is your depression. Okay, so you have recovery after a recession or depression. You have prosperity, which is peak economic activity. Recession, GDP declines for 2 or more consecutive quarters, and depression. Luckily, I've never seen a depression. The only one was back in the late 20s, 1929 to be exact. And those are the 4 stages of the business cycles right there. We saw prosperity. We've seen prosperity 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19. Technically, we're still in because we haven't had enough bad times in 2020 yet. We haven't seen 6 months of 2020, and really it started in March. So we need March, April, May, June, July. August, we're going to need some more data in order to technically say that we're in a recession. A lot of analysts are saying that we're headed that way. So we'll see. Who knows? The one thing that I've told you in the investment unit and in our economic unit, like, it's very, very difficult to predict what's going to happen in the stock market, what's going to happen into the economy. We can make estimated and educated guesses, but we really don't know until it happens. Okay, there's a lot of different indicators that we can look at to have a really good guess, but we don't always know exactly what's going to happen. All right, we'll get through, I promise. Prosperity, unemployment's low. Production of goods and services is high. Production of goods and services is high, so that's going to increase our GDP. New businesses are opening. Really good for small businesses, the lifeblood of our economy, right? Entrepreneurship, awesome. All those side hustles that people do, great. This is the peak of economic activity. People's wages are going up, partially because unemployment rates are down. That's exactly where we were in 2018, 19, 20. Our employment rate, last time I checked, was like 3.5 or something like that. It was minuscule. It was crazy, right? When there's that few of people looking for work and not able to find work during a given certain period of time, employers have to start paying people more to keep those good workers, or else they're going to go to someplace else, or there's going to be a new business open and they're going to pay more, or somebody's going to offer a better benefit, or somebody's going to offer a higher ceiling, or somebody's going to offer more advancement. And you have to keep on paying your good employees, those employees that you want to stay around for a long time. You have to continue to pay them more during good peak prosperity, because the company's making money, because you should. As a good business owner, you should be paying good employees that you want to keep in your organization. Should be paying them competitively and well. Okay, standard of living is up. I say everyone's happy. I'm sure not everybody is happy, right? But when there's only 3.5% drawing unemployment, that's a pretty good state for our U.S. economy. So 2014 through 2020, I hope it continues. Okay. then there's a recession. We go through a recession roughly every 10 to 13 years. If you just go back and historically look at different things, our last recession actually started in 2009. The fall, right? We hit prosperity in 2006, 7, 8, and then at the end of 8, the fall of 8, we started hitting that decline, but we really didn't hit those 2 consecutive quarters of declining GDP until 2009. So 2009, we technically fell into a recession. A lot of people are saying that this 2020 economic situation, crisis, pandemic is going to cause us to fall into a recession here in 2020, and that might last through 2021. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I wish I did, but I don't know the answer to that. It's going to hurt a lot of businesses for sure. It already has hurt a lot of businesses. So in entrepreneurship, we talk about the number of businesses that are actually shut down. Like 71% of businesses have been shut down due to this pandemic, ruled non-essential, and they're not able to open their doors and sell their products and pay their employees and generate revenue and all those really cool things that their business have been doing and been doing pretty well recently as well. Okay, so back to it. Sorry. Businesses are producing less. When we were talking about investing, this would be a bear market, right? Typically, our stock markets are going down. Our unemployment rates are starting to rise. Our GDP is declining. These are some of our economic indicators. People are spending less money because they have less money to spend. It's harder to get jobs. It's harder to get advancements and pay increases. A lot of times, people who are graduating from college, and don't shoot the messenger here, but a lot of people who are graduating from college end up going and getting an advanced degree because the job market's just not that great right there. So people are consuming fewer goods and services, and the economy is just not in a real healthy place. 2009, that fits pretty close to the 10 to 13 year window. Again, you can't predict it all the time. And then 2020 from 2009, that's 11 years, that fits that 10 to 13 year cycle. Depression, this is a super deep recession. This is absolutely terrible. Luckily, I have never, ever experienced it. It happened 1929, October 29th, 1929. I can remember that date like the back of my hand, but it's also my son's birthday. My daughter was born on tax day, April 15th, and my son was born on Black Tuesday, the mark of the beginning of the Great Depression, October 29th, not 1929, he was born in 2010. But banks failed. So basically the FDIC did not exist. Mr. Consiglio, we don't know what the FDIC is. I know, it's okay. I will tell you, I promise, okay? But basically the FDIC was insurance on your money. Well, the banks loaned out money to government, to businesses, to individuals, so on and so forth. So the money that was actually in the banks from personal savings account was lent out to earn interest while they paid out a lower interest. That's one of the ways the banks make money. And when the people didn't pay the loans back, there was no money to give. JP Morgan said that they just set aside $7 billion, I believe $7 billion or $70 billion, one or the other. It's a big difference. I should probably look that up. Based on loans that they don't think are going to be repaid from small businesses, okay? Kind of like this, only at the time, there was no FDIC. What's FDIC? FDIC is Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. So this is actually federally backed insurance on all of the money that you deposit into a bank account at an FDIC insured institution. So that can go for up to $250,000. So if I have $250,000 in a bank account, I probably wouldn't keep it in a bank account anyway. I'd want my money to grow. Remember, inflation's roughly 2.5%, 3%. So if we're just earning interest at like 0.5 or 1%, we're actually losing value of our money. But because of the Great Depression, because these banks failed, because these banks shut down, people went to go get their money because there were hard times and they lost their jobs and their businesses closed and so on and so forth. People weren't buying their products and services. They went to the bank and the bank was like, sorry, we don't have any money. People stopped trusting banks. The FDIC came in, Banking Act of 1933. Federally, so the federal government deposit insures the amount that is deposited in your bank account. Insurance, that means it protects it. It's the risk avoidance of that bank. The federal government is taking on that risk, and then it's a corporation. Okay. Why was the FDIC needed? Stock market declined by 75%. People were freaking out when it dropped like 12% the other day, even though it went back up 7% like a week later. Okay, people were really freaking out. It went down 75%. Between 1929 and 1933, the unemployment rate was 25%. Like I said earlier, last month it was 3.5%. Now they are projecting that that rate is going to go up drastically here in 2020, but the banks failed. There was no money to withdraw. It was nasty. And back then in 1934, when they started the FDIC, it was $2,500 was what the federal government backed or insured. So you can see that we were talking about inflation from our last note session. 1934, $2,500 for the FDIC. 2020, $250,000, right? General increase of goods and services, of pricing of FDIC, insurance, so on and so forth. All right, recovery. Next point. Recovery is on that roller coaster, rise in business activity after a recession or depression. Again, I think we have so many regulations in our government that we probably won't see a depression. God, I hope we don't see a depression. I don't want to see a depression. Recessions are bad enough, especially the last one was a really, really bad one in 2008, 2009, 2010. So production starts to increase, new businesses start to open, unemployment starts to decrease, people start to take out loans to purchase homes, to stimulate the economy, to spend dollars. There's more dollars to spend, and eventually, hopefully, recovery leads back to prosperity. It doesn't necessarily have to, but in my experience, which isn't vast, but it's I've seen a few of these things now. Okay, it's kind of led back to prosperity. So that's kind of getting up back to the peak of the mountain, to the top of the roller coaster, so we can have a really fun ride up there. All right, our assignment: you're going to draw the business cycle on a piece of paper. I've actually recorded a video showing you exactly what I'm looking for. I got some inspiration. It was supposed to be Masters Week. I got LT Gray here. LT Gray is some inspiration. My favorite cup, Masters Cup. Yep, these are really expensive items. So basically, I want you to draw a business cycle of what that means to you on a piece of paper. Okay, it's going to look way different to you than it is for me. It's going to look way different for Gavin than it is for Sophia, than it is for John Henry, so on and so forth. But for me, for Mr. Concilio, obviously, I got LT Gray sitting on my desk here. So I drew a golf course, right? And in my golf course, hi Harper, can you hold on a second? On my golf course, this is a par 3 hole, and I put a recession here in the sand trap, depression in the water because you can't get that stroke back. I got recovery out of the trees because you can make a nice recovery shot, and then prosperity is actually on the green next to the pin. Shh, thank you. Okay, but this is my example, so don't draw a golf course. This is my example. I want you to label what your business cycle position is, along with a year, and you can revert back to the notes to put that in there. And then on the back, I want you to give me an explanation of what those 4 points really mean. So if you don't know that a long bunker shot on a par 3, a 170-yard par 3 is difficult, I want you to explain that as the recession. Okay, and why that would be a recession, and why that's worse than a shot out of the trees, but better than a ball in the water. Okay, all right, enjoy. We'll see you guys.